Henry Robinson, who will be joining us at Marlboro in the fall, one of our incoming freshmen. And he's accepted our half scholarship for the 4 years that he's here. And his title is Finding Hope in Instruction.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Henry Robinson. A bit about me. I hail from Massachusetts, the town of Marlboro, which is pretty close to Rhode Island. You can pretty much walk to Rhode Island. I'm homeschooled. My hobbies are playing Dungeons and Dragons, video games, making art, illustration. I also volunteer at my local zoo, where there are domestic animals, not lions or tigers or something like that, just goats mainly. Before I start on my project, I do have a few questions for all of you. Are any of you ever bothered by negative news reports that you see? So, go ahead and raise your hands. Yeah, pretty much everyone. What kinds of news stories bother you the most? How about you right here?
Being against the
Great, me too. How about you?
Probably most of the ones that aren't exactly important, well, they're important, but they're not exactly crucial to everybody. Like the ones that are about like pure sadness, where like, people are getting murdered, they just report on that, and like it's not exactly productive in a sense, like important to know.
Right.
You know, it's sad.
Those are all pretty upsetting topics. One last question. Have you ever heard of found poetry before? You have? Excellent. Whether you have or haven't heard of it, you will know what it is now. Found poems are when you use words from a text and you disassemble the text, usually by cutting words, and then you might glue them to another surface, like I did when I was in my project. And you can create a poem from words from the text. I created a zine, which I do have copies, but I could pass that around if someone wanted to come up and grab them from either end. Thank you. You guys can pass those around. I just want to take a quick glance at it. The zine has poems and short essays about with some collage, art, and illustration. The essays within kind of explain the poems and talk about the essays, the articles rather. It takes a news story and uses the words to reimagine a better outcome for what might have happened. And perhaps kind of inspire a little bit of hope in a kind of dark news report. In addition to the poems, the essays, and the art within, I also researched the development of the brain over the life cycle. And I did this because I get pretty bummed out about news reports myself, just like anyone else. And I feel pretty hopeless and helpless a lot of the time. I learned about brain development over the life cycle and the sensitivities that teenagers have because their brain is still developing. The frontal lobe, which is the same place that makes teenagers risk takers, also makes them vulnerable to negative news reports and depression. So I also researched cognitive restructuring, which is the academic term for changing the way you think, changing your mind. mindset. And by remaking news stories of death, destruction, pollution, war, I helped myself figure out how to combat getting so worried and depressed and kind of angry about what's going on out there. I have packets here which I will pass out, or people can grab them whenever the time is convenient, with materials to create their own found homes. Everything you need is within. And I invite each person here to take one. The participants I would like to take first because there are 30 of them. But if there's leftovers and you're interested, you can take one. And if you create a found home with materials inside, and then send it to me with my email, which is inside by the deadline, which is also detailed inside, I will put together a zine writing on the wall for the Beautiful Minds 2015 Symposium. Which all of you can contribute to. And once that's together, and I am a student here at Marlboro, or perhaps before then, I will put it in the zine collection at Marlboro here on campus, this is the library. And I hope you can join me in creating a lasting contribution to Marlboro from this 2015 symposium. And any of you who don't get a packet, you can still send one to me if you want. You can ask me for my email. And to close, I will read one of my essays and one of my poems so you kind of get a sample of what I created. This poem is a sort of reconstruction of somewhat of a fantasy of events detailed in a July-August 2014 Smithsonian article, The Race to Stop Africa's Elephant Poachers by Joshua Hammond. My poem reconstructs one event in particular, the capture and torture of a 9-week-old elephant calf, the sole survivor of a massacre of elephants, 86 in all, at the hands of poachers hunting for ivory. The calf was captured by local villagers and roped to a tree and taunted for some time, days. Gary Roberts, a volunteer who uses his piloting skills and his passion for the environment in service of Chad's Wildlife Department, discovered the fresh remains of the herd while flying overhead and learned the fate of the calf shortly after. He rushed to his rescue in a pickup truck, took the traumatized orphan back to where his plane was parked, and brought the calf to his mission to try to nurse it back to health. Despite his efforts, the elephant died after 10 days in his care. The article is quite disturbing, the cruelty of poachers who hunt for ivory, and villagers who view the elephants as crop tramplers and would torture the elephant because of hatred, apparently. Fortunately, there are people like Gary Roberts out there, and the park rangers who fight these poachers in Africa, who do what they can to make a difference, or at least attempt to. And I attempted to create a better outcome to that situation in my poem, which I will now read. Villagers swarmed over the fresh corpses, hundreds of them, to capture the sole survivor of the massacre. They used a container of milk to lure the traumatized elephant calf into the back of their pickup truck, to the village. To their amazement, the weakened orphan came back to health. And that was created from an article that was all about death of elephants and criminals, international criminals. And so it's challenging to create poems out of something like that. That's the end. Thank you for listening. I'm able to answer some questions if you have any about my project. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me where you get most of your news source from?
I use various magazines few news articles on the internet, which I printed out, and I cut the pages from the articles, cut the words from them, and created one.
So I think you started by reflecting on the negativity of the media. I wonder if you had consciously sought out more positive venues to develop a sense of what's going on in the world.
Yes, like I mentioned, cognitive restructuring, which is kind of a coping mechanism for depression or someone who might get bummed out about news articles that are kind of not very, they're pretty negative. You, sir?
How long, or have you always paid attention to the media?
Forever, I've listened to NPR since I was younger. In fact, in recent times, I've tried to pay less attention to, especially the internet, where every day there's a myriad of articles that are just so dark. There's nothing good happening, it seems. Anyone else?
We have time for one more question.
Nope. You?
What do you feel like you learned from doing this?
I learned that perhaps I can make a difference, other people can make a difference, that the world is a pretty messed up place, but you can at least cope with it or create something that even brings awareness to these situations, like a